Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. It is already May 1st. Believe it or not, April is gone. It is April blog time. And so here we go. I've been getting a lot of calls, emails, and otherwise regarding assessed valuation lately as it pertains to school district resources and or available funds. And so I thought the timing of this was perfect given the fact that our legislature is set to hopefully approve a new school finance formula here in the next couple weeks. Invariably, I would anticipate that assessed valuation will again play a huge role into that. And so wanted to show you simulations, if you will, that kind of dispel some of the commonly held beliefs and or misbeliefs, if you will, regarding how assessed valuation does or does not impact a district. So without further ado, we'll jump right in. One of the biggest things I wanted to show you is what it does or does not afford the district when housing or other types of assessed valuation increase. So I'll take you through the sheet and then show you how that simulation works. I've used El Dorado data as much as humanly possible here. Our FTE for this year was 1977, so really quickly we'll run through what each calculation means. The weighted FTE, which I believe we'll still use, simply takes all the weightings into consideration. So I've just taken ours times 1.5 just for simplicity purposes. I've plugged in the base state aid per pupil as it stood prior to block grants, 3854, and I get this legal maximum. This number is extremely important. Legal maximum basically sets the budget authority under which a district must stay. So we cannot spend any more than that unless, of course, some other factors change. As you can see, there's two numbers that really go into that. It is the base state aid per pupil and the number of kids that we have. And so until one or both of those changes, well, then our legal maximum would not change. As we go a little further, we'll go into the LOB, which is supplemental general or in addition to the general fund, however you want to look at that. For this particular district, 30%. So very simply, we take the legal maximum here, and multiply it. So D2 times F2, very simple. We're going to basically have 130% for our operations. Here in El Dorado, we get 27% state aid. That's set by a table and a number of different factors that go into that. I will not explain that here today, but very simply, we get 27 cents on the dollar provided to us for the state. And so to calculate our LOB state aid, it's very simple. We take our LOB max, multiply it, times the state aid percentage. So of the 3.4 million, and by the way, these numbers are not exact, of the 3.4 million, we get approximately 1 million of that from the state. Okay, so let's go over some of the things here. First, I plugged in, or color-coded, if you will, the numbers that I feel like we have zero control over. And what I mean by that is they are set for us. So we really cannot control the number of students that walk into our doors. We really cannot control the base state aid per pupil that is given to us by the legislature. We really cannot control the general fund mill rate, again, provided by the legislature. We also, in my opinion, cannot control the assessed valuation. Of course, there's some other economic factors that could or could not contribute to that, but generally speaking, we don't have control over that. And by the way, I just have this cell looking at this cell. We also cannot control the LOB state aid. Again, another thing that is set by the legislature. So really, the only thing that we have control over is our LOB percentage, which I've color-coded in red to highlight the fact that that is one local decision that we have. And it's a big local decision, and we can get into that later. So the areas that are in blue, we have no control over. They are established for us, either through state statute or otherwise, and as such, we must operate under them, knowing that when one or more things change, it obviously plays into the bigger picture. So one of the questions I've been getting frequently is, what if El Dorado were to see a housing boom? How great that would be for the district, specifically for the amount of funds that would be available. There is this idea that as assessed valuation increases, that our available funds would increase. And that is actually far from the truth. I want to show you what assessed valuation would do. So currently in the district here, USD 490, our assessed valuation is approximately 167 million. So I've given you the per millage there. 167,000 is what 1 mil generates. So of our general fund, 11.5 million, we contribute locally 3.3. That means that the state kicks in the rest, as they do with every other district, regardless of where you live. 286 of them, the state kicks in the difference. So our state percentage here, I believe I left that calculation off, was somewhere around like 77% last time. Okay, so then very simply the LOB is that 30% off of that, minus of course the state aid. So I've shown that simulation here as well of our state aid, sorry, of our LOB, 3.4 million. Again, 925, so we must contribute locally the 2502. So what I did for that mill rate is I very simply set that to calculate this local contribution divided by the assessed valuation. So what does one mill need to generate, or what do those millage need to generate totally to generate that remaining 73%? Okay, so El Dorado goes through a housing boom. We see major increase in industrial revenue or otherwise commercial properties. One way or another, or a combination thereof, our assessed valuation reaches, let's say, 250 million. So each mill would now generate 250,000. Lots of more money for the district, right? Not so much. Why is that? Our legal maximum is based upon the number of kids we have sitting here, times, of course, their weightings as set by the legislature, and most importantly, times the base state aid per pupil. It does not have in its calculation the assessed valuation. And so as you can see, the funds available to the district remain unchanged, both LOB and general. We still have this combined total of 14.8. Now the difference, of course, is for the state. The state of Kansas loves when assessed valuation goes up because it means more local effort. As you can see, if I quickly undo that, local effort was 3.3 and it climbed to 5 million there. So the state of Kansas is kicking in now less. They absolutely love this. Okay? Now, if assessed valuation were to increase, I can also tell you that under the current formula, this number would likely decrease. This is just an absolute stab in the dark, but let's just play around with it. If our assessed valuation climbed to 250, I'm guessing that we would be somewhere around 15, if not less. So as you can see, local effort again climbs. Okay, I'll undo and redo. Local effort climbs. LOB, state aid, and again, the contribution from the state goes down. So my illustration here is to point out that while assessed valuation can be good for other things, I certainly don't want to downplay it. The misbelief out there that it does contribute to additional or available resources for the district is actually far from the truth. There is a benefit to the state of Kansas whereby now locally more dollars will be harvested, but by and large, spending authority, or as they call it, legal maximum, is not affected. Legal maximum, once again, is affected by two very important numbers. They are the number of kids you have sitting here and the number of dollars per student. So again, as always, don't hesitate to ask any questions, comments, concerns, or otherwise. We'd love to hear those. And thanks for watching. Hope you have a great May.